Hi, it's Mr. Baker with another physics video. Today we're going to be looking at cables and plugs. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at cables and plugs, and we're going to be answering this question: how do you wire a plug? So, warning signs are used to alert people of the presence to high voltage electricity. When a current passes through living material, it causes an electric shock. This interferes with nerve signals from the brain to the body and can cause heart attack, muscle spasms, and breathing difficulties. Other dangers are overheating and faulty appliances, which may lead to electrical fires. How can electricity be used safely then? So although electricity can be very dangerous, it's also incredibly useful and is essential for modern life. What precautions can be taken to make electricity safer? Well, we can not overload sockets, wire plugs correctly, never mix water and electricity, regularly check cables for breaks and loose wires, don't stick anything other than a plug in a socket, use earth wires, fuses and circuit breakers to prevent accidents in case faults develop. Okay, so here's a plug. What are the parts of a plug? So this number one is a cable grip, and it's holding the cable, it's gripping the cable so it can't be pulled out. So that's an important safety feature. We've got the neutral terminal on the bottom left there, and you can see it's a blue wire that's going into the neutral terminal. Number three there is the earth terminal in the middle, and you can see the earth wire that's going to it is a green and yellow wire. And then we've got the live terminal. The live terminal has a brown wire that goes to it, and it goes through the fuse. And then we've got the cable that has all of those three wires in them. So you've got to be able to remember where the wires go in a plug. So we've got the blue wire that's going to the bottom left. Blue starts with the letters BL, bottom left BL. So that's the blue one that's going to the bottom left, and that is the neutral wire. We've got the live wire that is going to the bottom right. The live wire is brown, BR, bottom right, brown. And for all of you Lord of the Rings fans, Middle Earth is where Lord of the Rings is set, and the earth wire goes to the middle terminal at the top there. So Middle Earth, and that's the green and yellow one. So what's inside the electrical cable? We've kind of had a look at already. An electrical cable contains three wires. These wires are made of copper because it's a good conductor of electricity. Each wire is made of thin strands of copper that you can just see there to keep the cable really flexible. Each wire is encased in plastic to stop the wires touching and causing a short circuit, and that's because plastic is a good insulator as well as being tough and flexible. The whole cable is encased in another layer of plastic, again as an insulator. So we've talked about what's inside a wire and why the bits in the wire are made of certain things like copper and plastic. So what's a plug made of? So the plug is mainly plastic, and it's hard plastic so that it's strong, and because it's a good insulator from electrical current. The actual pins are made of brass. The brass is strong as well, not flexible like the copper wires, and will conduct electricity really, really well as well. So what do all these wires do then? So here I've got a plug, and that is a really wide cable there that you can see that's connecting that plug to that toaster. And when the toaster is working normally, we actually only need the live and the neutral wire. So the live wire takes the electricity to the toaster, and the neutral wire sort of takes it away. And you can see that would work perfectly. The toaster would work because there's nothing wrong with the live wire, there's nothing wrong with the toaster, and so it would work perfectly. But if there was a fault, so the live wire was broken and maybe it was touching the outer casing of the toaster, then what would happen is the charge that was coming from the plug would go to the toaster, and it would sit on the toaster, it would charge up the toaster. Now that could obviously be potentially quite dangerous. If somebody came along, touched it, then they would get an electric shock. So we don't want that to happen. So if there is a fault in the toaster, this is where the earth wire becomes so important, because the charge that would build up on the toaster is taken away by the earth wire, and then when somebody comes and touches the toaster, they're fine, because the earth wire is taking all the excess charge away, and actually the fuse would have broken as well, and so the toaster, you can see, isn't turned on. So the earth wire is a safety mechanism, taking the extra charge away, breaking the fuse so that the appliance won't work and so it will be safe. Not all things have an earth wire. You might see on some devices like hair dryers, which are plastic. They will have a plastic central pin instead of having a metal pin for the earth wire, the earth terminal. And we call these things double insulated. Double insulated appliances have plastic cases without any wires connected to the case. This means that the case cannot become live because plastic does not conduct electricity. So if one layer of insulation is damaged, the appliance is still safe for the user. And this is the symbol we use for appliances that are double insulated. Okay, so that's the end of the lesson. This has been a lesson on cables and plugs. This is what you should be able to do. You should be able to identify the key components of a typical 3-pin plug and recognise simple and obvious hazards in electrical wiring. You should be able to discuss the choices of materials used in cables and plugs in terms of their physical and electrical properties, and you should be able to describe why a short circuit inside a device presents a hazard and identify a variety of electrical hazards associated with plugs and sockets. So that's been our lesson on cables and plugs, and this is what we said we'd answer by the end. How do you wire a plug? Well, we've had a look at which wire goes where. What's really important is you try and memorize that. You try and come up with some mnemonic that will help you remember it. So like I said, maybe BL, bottom left. BL stands for blue, and we know that that's the neutral wire that goes to the bottom left terminal. Bottom right, brown. We know that that one goes to the bottom right, and it's the brown, and it's the live terminal. And then the middle wire is middle earth, and we know that the earth wire is green and yellow. Okay, so that's been another physics video. I've been Mr. Baker, and I'll see you next time.